Hi everyone, so I thought I'd start off my presentation today with a quick question. Um, do any of you know which country this is by any chance? If you were thinking the Philippines, that is correct. So, fun fact about the Philippines is that it's actually made up of a total of 7,000 islands. And the Philippines is located in Southeast Asia, right over here. Today, I'm going to be informing you guys about the Filipino people and their culture. I personally am of Filipino descent, with both of my parents being born in the Philippines, so I was raised with many of the traditions. And today, I'll be talking to you guys about a brief history of the Philippines, daily life, and customs and traditions as well. And I hope that with the information I'm about to present to you, that you're able to take it with you elsewhere if you have any Filipino peers or if you're planning on traveling to the Philippines anytime in the future. Alright, so brief history of the Philippines. I thought it was only appropriate to give you guys a brief history of the Philippines since you guys scored a low level of knowledge. So I provided a little timeline over here. In 1521, according to csub.edu, the Philippines was under Spanish rule by the name of Ferdinand Magellan, and he named the country after King Philip II of Spain, hence the name Philippines. And because of Spanish colonization, there was a huge influence of Christianity. In 1898, the Philippines became of U.S. territory, which is why many Filipinos actually know how to speak English very well. And in 1941, Japan invaded the Philippines. And in 1946 is when the Philippines finally gained their independence. Now, onto my second main point. According to migrationpolicy.org, immigrants from the Philippines are very well educated and have strong English skills, most likely due to the fact of what I mentioned earlier, that the Philippines was of United States territory. And Filipinos actually presented a big trend being employed in the medical field more than any foreign-born workers, all in all. And I could say so myself that many of my Filipino friends' parents do work in the medical field, more specifically working as nurses, and my mom is also a nurse as well. So I provided a little picture right here of Filipino nurses. Another aspect of daily life of Filipinos is that they're very family-oriented, so I provided a little picture of my family right here. They spend a lot of their time around their family, and they have very strong family ties, and they're always taught to treat their families with respect, especially towards the elderly. And they'll even greet their elderly with a gesture called mano po, which I will discuss later. Another aspect of daily life is food, of course. So the staple food of the Philippines is rice, and with almost every single main course, rice will be included with it. And I got that from Britannica.com. So, a main course meal in the Philippines usually includes some type of meat or vegetables or noodles or rice. Common food that you might have seen before is probably lumpia, which is these egg rolls right here, or pancit or adobo. Food contributes tremendously when it comes to family parties or celebrations, and a huge feast will usually be laid out on a long table, and sometimes they'll put banana leaves under the food, just like this. And Filipinos are actually very hospitable when it comes to big celebrations and food. They'll make sure that you don't have an empty stomach. You don't leave with an empty stomach or leave empty-handed either. They'll usually pack up leftovers for you to take home. All right, now for my third main and final point, customs and traditions. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Philippines is predominantly a Roman Catholic country, so they are often very deeply devoted and have very deep faith. And many of our traditional rituals fall into religion, I'd say. So, we celebrate religious holidays such as Christmas, Easter, All Saints' Day, and as I mentioned earlier, Filipinos use this gesture called mano po, which is this right over here. So it's basically like as if you were to kiss someone's hand, but instead you put the elder's back back of their hand onto your forehead. And essentially, this is just like a gesture of respect. It's kind of like receiving a blessing from your elder. So, in return, the elder will say, like, may God bless you. And ironically, although, as I mentioned earlier, Filipinos are very religious, they're also very superstitious as well. In an interview with my mom, I asked her about the many superstitions that exist within the Filipino culture, and one of the biggest ones is that we celebrate New Year's Eve, which is I'm sure everybody else celebrates New Year's Eve, but with ours, there's many superstitions that come into it. So, like, for example, Filipinos will usually lay out 12 round fruits on their dining table to represent the 12 months throughout the year, and I think the spherical round fruit is linked to being prosperous. And so they also lay out their coins or change as well onto the dining table, and this will also make sure that they have a prosperous year and very successful year. And another one is that they'll turn on every single light within their house so that they will have a bright year ahead of them. Or my favorite one growing up is that when the clock strikes at midnight, all the kids are supposed to jump at as high as they can, and however tall they jump is however tall they will get throughout the year. But I don't think it's true because I've never grown that tall, no matter how high I jumped, but it's still fun to do. All right, so in review, I talked about the brief history of the Philippines, daily life of Filipino people, and customs and traditions. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you learned a little bit more about the Philippines and the Filipino culture, and that I was able to provide you with information that you can take elsewhere. Like if you have any Filipino peers or if you're planning on traveling to the Philippines at least once in your life, I would highly recommend it. It's a very beautiful country, as you can see. Thank you all for your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you all are healthy. Thank you.